Story 1. I lost a fight in front of my girlfriend and I can't get over the embarrassment. A while back, I was at a party with my girlfriend and her friends when the only guy other than me that my girlfriend has ever been with sexually, one night stand, came over to us and started talking. I was obviously quite agitated at his presence even at the start, but then it got even worse as he started making inappropriate comments and innuendos about him and my girlfriend. I could see how uncomfortable it was making her as well, and just as I was about to suggest we leave, he made a particularly explicit remark about my girlfriend's face. I snapped and went to lunge at him, but my girlfriend leaped in front of me, held me back, and started pleading with me to let it go, to look at her, and to just drop it. I resisted for a few seconds, but eventually calmed down and told her, "Okay." The guy waited until my girlfriend had let me go and stepped away. Then he laughed and said that even my girlfriend knew I couldn't take him. That got me. I didn't move though, just stood still for a moment. My girlfriend said, "Baby," in a "don't do it" tone. I smirked like I didn't care, then started to turn like I was going to walk away. But then I pivoted sharply and threw a big right hook directly at his face. I hit air. He sidestepped and then threw a punch of his own, nailed me right in the belly, just below my chest, instantly knocked all the wind right out of me and put me on my knees. He stood over me and made some crack about how he fucked my girl, and now he'd kick my ass. Then he left. My girlfriend rushed to me, got down and held me in her arms, and kept worriedly pointing out how badly hurt I was. It's been a couple of years now since that happened, but I can't seem to get over it. I used to be a big boxing and MMA fan, but I can't even watch or talk about the sports anymore because as soon as I think about fighting, I just feel an overwhelming sense of embarrassment. I don't think there's anything that can be done. My girlfriend and I are still together, and our relationship is great and solid. But I just hate that she saw that happen, and especially that it was her only other sexual partner who beat me. Story 2. I lie to my girlfriend basically every day and have done for a while now. My girlfriend and I have been together for over a year now. I love her dearly. Marriage. I have done since the moment we started talking. She is the love of my life, and I cannot wait to keep enjoying her presence as long as I breathe. Now, where does the lie come in? Essentially, my girlfriend is currently in recovery for anorexia, and she is doing brilliantly, and I'm forever proud of her. However, she also has emetophobia, the fear of vomiting and being ill. So most days she will get in her own head about how unwell she's feeling and convince herself she is going to be sick if she eats. So she just defaults to going without. However, around a year ago on a particularly bad day where she had gone 2 to 3 days or so without eating a single thing, I was crying trying to get her to eat, and she said she couldn't because she'd be sick. In the moment, I randomly said, "Open your mouth and say, ah." She said, "Why?" And I said, "You can physically tell if someone is going to be sick, as the uvula raises completely to avoid getting any acid residue from the stomach, sort of like a warning system for the body to anticipate throwing up." It worked. This lie I made up on the spot has worked wonders every day since then. I have no idea if what I said is even remotely true. After all, I made it up. But if it's true, then good. If not, still good because it helps. My girlfriend is currently well into recovery and has been for a while. And I don't mean this in a way to take credit from this amazing woman who I am so in love with, but I wouldn't like to see where she would be without this little white lie I tell often. Love. It instantly calms her down and allows her to eat without worrying too much about being sick. She now eats 3 meals a day with me, and this little white lie is responsible for a lot of that. I've never obviously told her this, and most likely never will. I'm just glad it has had the intended effects. Thanks for reading if you did. Story 3. My best friend slept with a married man and I stopped being her friend. I never thought I would be in a position where I had to let go of my best friend. She was like a sister to me. We did everything together, we knew each other's secrets, we were both there for each other when our kids were born. It was her birthday party and asked me to host while she finished doing her makeup. People started coming in and everyone was having a great time when a really nice girl came up to me with a gift and told me that she just wanted to stop by to say happy birthday to my friend and drop off her gift. However, her baby was sick and she couldn't stay for the party. Minutes later, my friend came downstairs and I let her know that a really nice girl dropped off a gift. My friend opened up the gift and made a face. Lateral asked who she was and she started laughing and took out her phone and showed me a picture of the girl with her husband. I was completely shocked and disgusted for what came next. She first met the girl at the IC. They stayed at the Ronald McDonald House. Both of them had daughters that had heart surgeries at that time, and they became friends. My ex-friend stated that the girl's husband would tell her that the girl was not paying attention to him and she was not a good wife. So they slept together and she was seeing him. I couldn't believe what she did. I was so upset and hurt for the girl, and everything changed after that day. I just couldn't see her the same way, and it was an instant decision I made to depart myself from her. Eventually, she told me that the girl found a picture of her on her husband's phone. I am really glad that the girl did find out, and I often think and pray about her and her daughter. As for my friend, she is now my ex-friend, and I don't want anything to do with her. Was I wrong for ending the friendship? I often think about it, but I also couldn't keep her in my life after what she did. I obviously didn't know the real her. Story 4. I, 20, spoke to my son, 6, for the first time over the weekend. Yes, those ages are correct, unfortunately, and it was a lot to take in. I thought I was a big man at the time. No one knows he's my son, apart from me, his mom, who passed away a few years ago, and my boyfriend. I'm bi. He lives with his gran. I co-trained the under-8s football team with 2 women. Last weekend, a new group of kids joined, including my son. I've seen him around but had never spoken to him before. He cut his leg, so I took him aside to patch it up. I took my time with it to spend a bit longer with him, saying the usual things like calling him a trooper. I asked how school was going, favorite superhero, and which team he supported. Unfortunately, it's a rival one, etc. Once he was patched up, I asked if he was all right to keep playing or if I should call his mom. I don't know why I said that. He told me she was actually his gran. I apologized, and he explained that his mom had been sick but still looks at him, and his dad had got lost and couldn't find his way back home. We kicked the ball around for a bit, but I had to call his gran to come and collect him. I'm glad I had the chance to talk to him, but I'm thinking of asking the club to move me to a different age group. My boyfriend thinks I should continue seeing him. It sounds mad to say I love the little lad, but I do. Story 5. I did something dumb, and it's been eating me alive. I've been carrying this for way too long, and it's time to come clean. Brace yourselves, because this is 1 part embarrassing, 2 parts stupid, and a sprinkle of, what was I thinking? A few months ago, I was home alone, bored out of my mind, scrolling through TikTok. I stumbled upon one of those life hack videos. You know, the ones where someone does something totally random and claims it's genius? This one was about making the perfect grilled cheese with an iron. Yes, an iron. So naturally, I thought, why not? I grabbed some bread, cheese, and foil, and I got to work. Things were great. Things were going great until they weren't. Long story short, I underestimated just how hot irons get, and I ended up with a burnt mess. Oh, and the smell? Let's just say my apartment smelled like a campfire for days. But that's not even the worst part. I completely ruined the iron, and when my roommate asked why it looked like a toaster exploded on it, I panicked. I told them I accidentally dropped it on the stove. They believed me, but I've been feeling guilty ever since because they had to pay to replace it. Now, every time I see them ironing their clothes with the new one, I'm haunted by my cheesy crime. So, yeah. That's my confession. I'm the grilled cheese bandit, and I don't know if I should fess up or just let it go. Story 6. I can't get enough of older women. M. 22, London. I'm 22 years old. I live in London, a thriving city with a booming social scene. I have an athletic build, and I'm an above-average-looking guy. I only say this due to the female attention I get. I'm not being big-headed, lol. I like girls my age, but older women turn me on like no other. The idea of a woman over the age of 30 turns me on so fucking bad it gets uncontrollable sometimes. I'll be at work, and if one of my older coworkers even flirts with me a little bit, it drives me crazy. Or if I see a woman on the train and have small talk with her, I'll spend the rest of the day thinking about kissing and caressing every inch of her perfect body and lips, wanting to worship her. It's the knowing that the older these women are, the more years they've had on this earth, and it's nothing to do with sexual experience. It's just the way their bodies start to get, as they age, they get even more fucking perfect. There's this look an older woman has. I can't exactly describe it, but it's a tenderness, yet overt sexiness. It drives me fucking crazy. Their bodies and clothes look better. Their hair looks better. Their faces that have slightly aged look so much better. Everything on an older woman is so much fucking better. I can't wait to finally get with an older woman, and I hope it doesn't stop there. I want to kiss, suck, and take on different women who are much older than me. It turns me on like fucking crazy. Story 7. I'm a grown-up who uses AI for work. 42 yo. I'm a good technical writer and engineer. However, my work has been recently having me participate in technical expos and make presentations. I hate it. I'm data-minded, not a speaker. I struggle to write speeches that present my work in an engaging way. I tend to info dump and have no idea how to open a conversation or end it with grace. My early speeches were just, "Hi, I'm Invincible Chutzpah. Here is information. Stop talking and walk off stage." It was awful. I started using ChatGPT to write speeches. I used my data and talking points as input, but let AI write an attention-grabbing opening and clear ending. I always make a lot of edits to what the AI initially writes, but utilize a good portion of it. My bosses are really impressed at my improved speaking skills. Eerie. Ironically, using ChatGPT to write speeches has made me sound less robotic. Story 8. Trainer was making fun of me, 22F, with the main HR loudly crying. Never felt this embarrassed. So recently I joined a company, and as RN, it's the second day of my training. The trainer, he older, is someone who is kind of HR, as well head training manager, is pet type, and the head, HR, she/by, is very rude and blunt, superficial AF. So suddenly when we were writing things, this trainer got out of the room and was saying something I couldn't hear him, but the HR's voice I could hear. She said something like dandruff and then gross. Now I wash my hair 2 to 3 times a week, and in winter I do have a problem of dandruff no matter how much conditioning and stuff I do for my hair. You can guess I knew that they were talking about me because for others they don't have the problem. They were discussing it outside where most of the employees were, even though they were busy and haven't cared much, but it feels very insulting. I don't visit saloon as their solution is not permanent. I have very dry skin as well as this dandruff problem in winter. Today itself, this head HR dismissed 2 trainees for petty issues. They might do the same for me as well, stating hygiene issue maybe. They are too petty to not assume such happenings. P.S. Right now, I am writing it with curd mask in my hair as tomorrow we do have the office, and I don't want to be insulted for things like this. Story 9. I forced my ex-fiancée to terminate her pregnancy and threatened her life after she cheated. It's been over 10 years since this incident, and that's the only reason I feel comfortable typing it out now. This is the worst thing I have ever done in my life, and it's not even a close call. When I was 25 and my ex-fiancée was 23, I found out that she had cheated on me shortly after we had discovered she was pregnant. I was tipped off by a coworker of hers who was my buddy, and he informed me that while I was on a several-week trip to Central America where I went to go see my father with cancer, there were several days where my fiancé went back home with a male coworker. I confronted my fiancé, and she denied. I demanded to see her phone, and after much pushing, she tearfully handed it to me, which confirmed that for a few months, she had hooked up with a coworker of hers. She tried to say that we'd work through it, and that she's sorry, but something holding me together as a decent human being broke, resulting in my following actions. I said we could work through it, but she needed to acquiesce to all my demands if she had any hope of salvaging what she had with me. I first told her she needed to quit her job immediately and text the coworker that he's shit and she wanted nothing to do with him anymore. She initially protested, but I put on the waterworks and said I would never trust her at that place of work ever again. She did as I asked and quit over text with her manager and sent a nasty text to her coworker and blocked him in front of me. Then I demanded she terminate the pregnancy. She balked since we had agreed we were keeping the baby, but I said that I didn't know if I was the father, and I don't trust her right now, much less want to rebuild a relationship with her while raising a kid. She begged and pleaded, but I told her that I was so hurt that if she decided to keep it, I would throw her out, and she'd be a single mom while I disappeared from her life without a trace. It took a lot of pressuring and convincing, up to her begging me in tears in the parking lot outside the clinic. But she eventually got prescribed the abortifacients and terminated the pregnancy. She seemed hollow and broken afterwards. Chances are that kid was almost 100% mine, but I didn't want any permanent link to her. Finally, one day while she was out, I packed her stuff in the back of my car. When she came back, I told her to get in, and I needed to take her to grab some dinner. She obliged, and I drove her to the next town over and pulled up in front of her parents' house. I got out and started throwing the garbage bags of her stuff onto the lawn. She started yelling, asking what I was doing. I told her we're over and that she's staying here now. She said that we could work it out, but what I'm doing is illegal. I told her that she can either stay here or I will choke the life out her if she ever came by my house again. She threatened to off herself, how she couldn't come back. Her family was pretty abusive, and so on. I said it'd save me the effort. I never heard from her after that day. I did hear that at one point she ended up hospitalized, I suspect, for an attempt on her own life, but I didn't feel much. Now after therapy, where I didn't confess my crime but did confess what happened with her cheating, I would have done things incredibly different. Something broke in me that day. I do my best to be a decent person, but even now I'm scared looking at my own daughter with my current wife of the evil I am capable of. Story 10. The worst project of my life is over. I work in 3D. In September 2023, I got a call from an industry friend of mine to do some work for their client, a mining company, visualizing their workflow. They needed some simple modeling and renders of a particular mine to put over on-camera interviews from members of their team. Okay, simple enough. I have the first meeting with the client's marketing person, and immediately I regret signing the contract. The best way to describe him is that he fractalizes every detail into 50 more details, all with their own details on details. We had 15 meetings in total, and throughout more than a year, ended up with about 35 seconds of usable material. The full video is supposed to be 5 to 7 minutes long. It was a "I'll know what I want when I see it" deal. And it drove me absolutely fucking insane, never knowing if what I would deliver that week would be correct, or even in the right ballpark. Anyway, I ended up convincing them to find a new 3D artist after my contract was fulfilled. I feel bad for the guy, he seems like a cool dude. Nobody probably cares. But I had to tell someone because I feel giddy as hell right now, like I just railed Molly or something. Ha ha ha. Have a great day, and remember, say no to clients more often. They need you, not the other way around. 11. I learned that an ex plays for the other team now, and it's apparently my fault. I dated a girl in university who I absolutely adored but should have never pursued in the first place. I solidified ending a childhood friendship because I chose to date her over respecting my friend's feelings for the same girl. We didn't last long together for a number of reasons, and I took the breakup pretty hard. I admit I fell pretty fast and hard, and picking myself back up after getting the wind knocked out of me this time around was not an easy task. I was bitter, and as I said, I lost a lot of friends from this short relationship. A few years later, she ended up living with another girl I dated on and off, and to my surprise, I still held a bit of resentment seeing her again. Bitterness I swore I had let go of resurfaced. Seeing her and being in the same place as her again was quite uncomfortable, and created a bit of a rift between myself and my friend. Long story short, I'm happily married for over 10 years at this point, and had seriously moved past all the drama. But it has come to my attention that my coldness to my ex after our mutual breakup had ruined her life, made her hit rock bottom, and turned her off men entirely. Her friend group, who ostracized me after the breakup, blames me entirely for her going off the rails, and have gone as far to tell me that it is best that so don't relocate to that area again in fear that my ex might run into me again. I'm a husband, a father, a professional. I don't wear the ex-boyfriend label as a badge of dishonor. I felt like I lost a lot more in that breakup than she did, but I moved on eventually. After all these years, I don't overly care who she dates or where she lives. Chances are, I wouldn't even recognize her in line at the grocery store. She rarely utilized social media a decade ago, so I doubt she does now. I don't seek her out, to be honest. I probably wouldn't even think of her if her old friend group didn't act like they have just seen a ghost every time we cross paths. However, the fact that I was so soul-crushing as a boyfriend to make her swear off men is baffling to me. I'll admit I really did care for her, but we barely dated, maybe a few months, tops. It never got super serious, so for it to rock her world so hard is quite comical to me. It ended like so many relationships end, so why do I solely take the heat for her change or lifestyle? Story 12. Debating whether to share old feelings with an old friend. I'm in a bit of a personal dilemma and could use some outside perspective. About 13 years ago, I had a crush on a guy I first met. I knew the feelings were mutual, and he even waited for me for a long time, but back then, I was in a tough place mentally and didn't feel like I could be a good partner, so nothing ever came of it. Now we've stayed friends over the years. He's been in a relationship for 6 years, and I've been in one for 3. We recently met up for the first time in 2 years while I'm visiting my home countries. Seeing him again stirred up some old thoughts, and I feel this strong urge to let him know that I had feelings for him back then. It's not about expecting or wanting anything to change. I'm happy where I am, and I know he is too. I just feel like sharing this would give me a sense of closure and clarity, especially since I think he never realized I liked him that way. I'm curious about others' thoughts on navigating situations like this. Would love to hear your perspectives. Story 13. Did a dumb move. Got too drunk and made someone uncomfortable. Now I have to live with how the people I am close with are now gonna view me. I hurt a lot of people, and now I have to confess to my closet people around me. It just sucks, knowing that I could have avoided this by avoiding alcohol, and knowing that it is a dangerous thing for me. Maybe I have a problem, and I have lied to myself for years. Now I must confess and be held to the consequences of my actions. I'm so anxious and numb. This sucks. My mind is running a million miles. Thanks for reading this. Story 14. I have been making stalkerish decisions, and I regret them. I met this guy that I really hit it off with. We talked constantly and flirted like there was no tomorrow. We decide on a date where he'll pick me up and we'll go back to his place. 1 hour before, he checks in and I confirm, however he goes radio silent after. He never comes and blocks me on basically everything, which is weird because he was talking about being excited to meet me. IOFC, I'm pretty heartbroken. So I've been sulking and trying new dating apps and I keep finding him. Each time I've swiped right, hoping he'd talk to me again. And now I've sent him a text through another app, begging to at least tell me what went wrong. I feel like a creepy stalker now, and I feel like I've gone too far, sad face. Story 15. I can't stop stealing people's personalities. The first time, I was in middle school, and she was in high school. I met her briefly at a baptism for a myriad. We were friends for a couple months before our conversations tapered off. She was everything I thought I wasn't. She would post to her Snap story pictures of her and all her friends. Drinking, partying, recklessly driving. She was clearly popular and was always out doing something. I would find the clothes she was wearing and buy them, zoom into the back of her posts, and find the products she was using. Back when Instagram still had updates on what other people were liking, I would like anything she did. I would eat out at the places she did. I befriended people she posted on her stories. I knew everything about her just from what she posted. I found her Spotify and religiously listened to her music. I started vaping because she did. It's so shameful to put this into words, but this behavior lasted for around 2 to 3 years. She eventually grew up, and I didn't find her as interesting anymore, so I thought this weird obsession was over. For years after, I just chalked it up to me being a deeply insecure kid. Then when I was in high school, I moved. One of the first friends I made at my new school was the coolest person I've ever met. Unlike the girl before, she was artsy, listened to obscure music, and did theater. The same behavior ensued, only this time she became one of my best friends. It was never as bad as the first time, but I decorated my room to reflect hers in small ways. We developed the same music taste. Now, none of it is malicious, and I was never trying to replace her or anything weird. People eventually started saying we were the same person, but the closer we got, the more she fell off the pedestal I put her on, and now all those feelings are long gone. She's just one of my best friends now. There were many obsessions along the way. A guy ran into me one time at a music show, and I somehow found his Instagram and stole all his playlists. I shifted social circles my senior year, and I met another girl, which has become my current problem. We're friends, and other people don't even like her all that much. But I don't even care. I still take all my inspiration from here right now. I've changed my room. I listen to her playlists. The works. I do not know what is wrong with me. I do not know why I do this. I'm sure it stems from feeling insecure and not good enough. I'm an amalgamation of so many people. I have grown to like things, rarely stumbling across them on my own. I hope to one day be happy with the person I am. The only real takeaway I have is that people post way too much on social media. Story 16. That thing in my head is a fucking menace. For pretty much my entire life, I've had some sort of odd mental condition that I think I got from my mom. I don't know what it is, but it causes hallucinations, intense mood swings, causes my face to make expressions that don't match my emotions, and most notably make vicious comments on other people within my head. Today, a friend of my boyfriend was asking him for cigarettes. I have pharmacophobia, fear of drugs, and in my case a heavy prejudice towards them, that I'm trying to work through. But this lovely mental illness of mine takes fear or anger, big or small, and tears into it, blowing it out of proportion, before shoving everything deep down. I held my tongue, of course, since not a word was truly mine, as the intrusive whispers flooded my mind a mile a minute, tearing into even the body language of my boyfriend's friend, the way he asked, and even the desire to smoke, everything I ever knew him for, all because of one small, maybe a tad needy, request. The whispers compared him to a begging, pathetic dog, calling him name after name, all out of my control as I felt two emotions at once. One that was intrusive, a mix between hate and disguised, and the other was worry. As my own internal outburst was a bit frightening, anyone would find it alarming to basically have a separate thought process. I could hear my own thoughts, but that things as well, just as clearly. And at the same time, according to my boyfriend, I was staring like I was going to murder someone at the mention of cigarettes, but my voice didn't match my expression at all. Say what you will about smoking and drug use in general, but this is not healthy behavior towards it, and I'm tired of people telling me that this viciousness towards people I care about and the people they care about is somehow a good thing. It doesn't need to be fed any more than it already has, and for people to say it's good for me or ignorant to the very situation they compliment, it's not just my view of drugs that it affects, it's almost every aspect of my life. Story 17. I really love my boyfriend and I'm worried it's unhealthy, or I'm just overthinking it. I, 20F, have been talking to this guy, 21M, for over a month now and started dating him 2 weeks ago. I know this might just be the honeymoon phase of the relationship, but all I can do is think about him and want to be with him. I haven't felt this way about someone in about 3 years now. Anytime I see that he texts, I want to reply ASAP no matter what I'm doing. We both work but only share one day off, Saturday. We also each live with our respective parents until we can get on our feet. I'm moving out soon, but he's not. I have a time limit. My parents tend to treat me like a child, and if they make plans on Saturdays, the typical days they make plans, I'm forced to go with them, meaning my boyfriend and I won't be able to hang out. And the thought of not seeing him at least once a week scares me. We do call every day and fall asleep on call together, but still, I've never felt this way this fast in a while. We both say I love you to each other already and have talked about the future and whatnot. We have very open communication. Normally, doing all this stuff early in a relationship would be a red flag and feel weird. But with him, pooh, it's different. He fell for me after the first date and I fell for him after the second. But we didn't admit our feelings to one another until our third date / the day we became official. I love this man so flipping much, and all I want to do is be with him. Unfortunately, we live an hour away from each other, so it's not like I can just go to his house anytime I really want. We're both clingy to each other and hate being apart. Plus, I have a curfew and have to wake up early for work. Sorry if this is a little choppy, I'm exhausted and at work. Thank you for reading. Story 18. I want an older woman to take my virginity. I'm 31M and still a virgin. I've recently realized that I want to lose my virginity to an older woman now. I want her to teach me and guide me during sex and almost be a sex mother, if that makes sense. I want her, whoever she may be, to absolutely rock my world and leave me begging for more. I even know exactly how I want it to happen. I want to be tied spread eagle to the bed and blib folded. I want her to tease and edge me like crazy, sit on my face, suck my dick, etc., but leave me blindfolded so I can't watch, only feel and experience the sensations. Once she's teased me good and proper, I want her to get on top and ride me until she can't anymore. Fuck, I'm horny just from writing that. Story 19. I feel so lonely, even when I'm surrounded by people. I've been feeling so incredibly lonely lately, and I just need to get this off my chest. It's strange because I'm not alone. I'm surrounded by people all the time, friends, family, co-workers, but no matter what, it feels like there's this gap inside of me, like I'm not really connected to anyone. I smile, I laugh, I participate in conversations, but inside, I feel invisible. I don't know when it started, but it's like I'm stuck in my own world, even when I'm with others. I try reaching out, but it's like I'm always the one initiating, and when I do, I feel like I'm being a burden. It's exhausting, pretending like everything is fine when I feel like I'm fading into the background. I hate that I feel like this. I hate that it seems like no one truly gets me. I hate that I'm starting to wonder if maybe I'm just not someone worth being close to. It's hard to admit this, but I just feel like no one really sees me. I'm sharing this because I don't know how to move forward. I want to feel truly connected to others, but it's like I'm locked in this endless cycle of loneliness. Story 20. I bullied the kid who was also being molested by my coach. When I was 14, I was a closeted kid with an abusive dad who beat the shit out of me and my mom. I made varsity in the 9th grade and my football coach took notice of me and of the bruises my dad left. He helped my mom leave my dad and intervened. He was my hero, and when he initiated with me, when he gave me rides home from practice or let me sit at his till my mom got home, I thought I was in love with him. I wanted to surprise Coach one weekend. I was 15 then. I found a way to get some beers, and I rode my bike to Coach's head. Halfway up the street to his place, I saw him talking to another kid from school at the door. Victor. I think he was 15 too, and a soccer player. He'd been outed and was getting a lot of shit for being gay at school. I knew why he was there. Coach told me only his special player got to come to his house. But I was pissed, and I felt betrayed, and I started taking it out on Victor. I became his worst bully. I shouted slurs at him, threw him into lockers, left him death threats, all because I thought he was a homewrecker, because he was moving in on what was mine. He ended up killing himself, and I've never forgiven myself since. I stayed with Coach till I was 16, and he abandoned me and up and moved after Victor's suicide. Story 21. Real estate agent, escort, or both? I'm planning to invest in Argentina buying APTS for Airbnb. The fact is, I contacted a woman real estate agent searching on a directory of R*Max agency. The agent happens to be a very attractive brunette in her early 30s. Tall, long hair, model style, very classy on IG. Awesome profile. Conversation flows very professional and the amounts spoken go around 5 zeros. Cool. Suddenly I come across a forum, and the guy's there talking about a lovely brunette escort with similar name to the agent. They also talk about her boyfriend, who happens to be a model as well, and that they sell hardcore content and do VIP escorting. Boom, I continue the search and finally see all this is real. Yes, the lovely brunette agent has hardcore material with her boyfriend. Doggy style, blowjob, both Smoking Joe asterisk NTS and F times Kimfying. Is true real estate business compatible with escorting? Is this an exception? Or there are many real estate agents doing part-time jobs in Argentina. Story 22. A letter from the devil. A revelation. To the people of Earth, though I lack proof that the end of the world is near, something extraordinary has recently transpired. For as long as I have existed in your realm, I was unable to identify myself. Yet now, inexplicably, I can. Why this revelation has come to me, I do not know. And frankly, it unsettles me. I am Lucifer. Please, do not be afraid. What you have heard about me is wrong. Entirely so. I am not a malevolent supernatural entity, nor do I possess the power to harm you. You are safe in my presence. I am, quite simply, a fallen angel. That does not make me evil. My transgression? I disappointed God. He desired that I worship, praise, and love him above all else, and I could not comply to his standards. That was enough for him to cast me out. Not all fallen angels are evil, nor do we wield supernatural powers. We aren't created evil, but we do have the capacity to disappoint the narcissistic Holy One. In fact, some humans have committed acts far darker than a fallen angel ever could. Fear not me or my kind. Fear the evil that exists among your own. I was not banished to hell as you might think. I was sent to earth, and I have traversed it ever since. Let me explain. Your existence is bound by the concept of time. Days, nights, weeks, years. These constructs are tied to the rotation and orbit of your planet. But where I come from, time does not exist. My existence is timeless. I have no age. Hell, as you conceive it, is not my creation. It is the work of your God, who designed it as a place of torment for those who sin against him. While he offered me dominion over it, I declined. Torturing souls is not my purpose. I find such an idea cruel, sadistic even. To me, your God is a narcissist who delights in punishment. Why would I want to harm those who, like me, have fallen short of his impossible standards? If there is a ruler of hell, it is not I. It is the same loving God you revere. Allow me to address another falsehood. I do not desire your soul. What use would I have for it? I cannot grant fame, fortune, or power in exchange for it. Nor do I wish to. The concept of selling your soul to the devil is a myth, a metaphor for the controlling and corrupting influence of industries like Hollywood, record labels, or other exploitative systems. Additionally, the mere thought of torturing and tormenting you for eternity sounds exhausting, cruel, and completely unnecessary. The sinners of earth didn't sin against me, and I have no dog in this fight. Yes, I inhabit a human body, but I do not possess souls. When a body dies, its original soul departs, leaving a vessel I can occupy. This skin, body, I inhabit now, for example, belonged to a child who drowned in 1969. His soul left, and I entered as his mother tried to save him. It was a tragic moment, but such is the nature of my existence. I choked up the water, rejuvenated the body, and now here I am. I have moved through countless bodies over millennia, living and dying alongside humanity. Taking an adult body poses challenges. They come with identities, relationships, and histories I must learn. A child's body offers a fresh start. It is not an ideal existence, but it is mine. Dealing with parents over and over is a challenge, but it is less of a challenge than assuming an adult body and the established life it already created. Now, about my reputation. Imagine a parent placing a cookie in front of a toddler and forbidding them to eat it, warning of death if they do. Along comes the babysitter, who reassures the child, "You won't die, but you'll enjoy a delicious treat." The child eats the cookie, experiences joy, and lives. Who tempted whom? Was it the parent who placed the cookie there, or the babysitter who spoke the truth? Did the child die, or did they simply experience life? This analogy is my story. I'm not a deceiver. I merely told the truth. For eons, I have remained silent. Now, I can finally speak. My message is simple. I am not your enemy. I am not to be feared. The true source of fear lies in the sadistic cruelty and narcissism of your creator. Live your lives freely and fully. Spread peace and love, and do not harm others. You absolutely have nothing to fear from me. Fear only God. For if you disappoint him, he will be the one to torture and torment you for eternity. Sincerely, Lucifer. Story 23. I like to read blogs/articles from hyper-conservative/religious websites. Kinda like my last post. This isn't really like one of those super deep or juicy confessions that usually get posted here, but I really like to yap and have people read my thoughts. State example. But pretty much like the title says, I like going on blogs and shit from those super conservative websites just to read them and pass the time. Keep in mind, I'm not talking like just your normal conservative political news sources. I mean shit like the American Family Association/1 Million Moms, trying to scrounge up old posts about how Pokemon and anime is satanic and ruining America. Shit like that, you know? Purposefully extremist outlets. I actually pretty regularly watch some religious YouTubers whose views I don't even share, just for the entertainment of it. I'm pretty left-leaning and agnostic, so I know the media I'm talking about would be pretty against me, but IDK, it just scratches an itch. Story 24. I got a paternity test on my son, behind my wife's back. I got a paternity test on my son, behind my wife's back. 2 years ago, we had a baby boy. And from the moment he was born, I felt like something was off. And it was obvious. Our child didn't look like us. Now, I get that children don't look like parents often, and you have to wait to see how they look, but this was different. My son was blonde, blue eyes, and with a very fair skin complexion. I am Mexican. My wife is Colombian. We both have a slightly darker skin tone. Think Selma Hayek's complexion. We both have dark brown eyes, black hair, and dark brown hair. Not only that, both of our parents have dark hair and brown eyes, with the exception of my mother who has a hazel eyes. All of our grandparents have dark hair, brown skin, and dark eyes. How was my child blonde, blue eyes, and fair? I had people tell me that the lots of babies are born with blue/gray eyes and darken up, and their skin and hair change vastly as well. So I waited it out and assumed the child was mine, but here we are after 2 years, and if anything, his eyes are more blue, more blonde, and even lighter skin. He does not look like us. I started getting comments on how he must be the mailman's son or weird looks or jokes. I was once questioned at a park if the child I was playing with was my son. My wife has always been asked if she is his nannies, and it made me feel so angry. My wife never thought it was a big deal and would say people are just playing around, but I know some people think I am raising another man's child. It started to wear on me. I had no reason to think my wife cheated on me other than his looks. It was eating me inside, and I took my son to get a paternity test without telling my wife. Well, it turns out he is 100% mine. I was so relieved. I wanted to show this to anyone who made comments of joked about my son not being mine. That night, I casually asked my wife if she would have been mad if I got a paternity test when our son was born, and she reacted very offended that I would even consider that she cheated on me. She said it would have affected our relationship negatively knowing I couldn't trust her. I played it off that I was joking, but now, because of the paternity test, she was correct, and I had no reason other than the way he looked. Now I have replaced the feeling of doubt of my child with guilt. Now I feel like an insecure asshole. I don't know if I should tell her or keep this locked away forever. Story 25. I used a cheat code on Star Wars. Bounty Hunter. So there are the type of video gamers who try to cheat or something to get the easy way out instead of working hard on gaming. I was sort of like this as a kid and used cheats in games like Invincibility, etc. I don't really do that nowadays, but I gave in to using a cheat code on Star Wars. Bounty Hunter last night. It's regarding the optional part of the game where you hunt for enemies that have bounties on their heads during missions, and you have to stop to scan them with Django's visor. Gaining credits from these bounties will progressively unlock concept art for the game, but it's a very slow process, and you have to hunt bounties you already got just to get more credits. It also makes it easier for you to die and lose lives this way. There was 6 pieces of art left for me to unlock when I booted up the game last night, but hunting bounties for them has already been too much work for me. And the thing is, this is the second time I tried to 100% the game since I first played it on PS4 back in 2018, before the remaster came out recently. So I decided enough is enough and just used a cheat code to unlock all the art and skip the bounties. I know this means I'm not the most dedicated gamer, and I will try to not rely on cheats for gaming often in the future. But I felt like I had to confess this anyway. Story 26. I'm a shit friend. I randomly shamed him for no reason at all, and he's the nicest guy the first no. This happened probably 18 months ago. My friend started going to the gym. Good for him. A few weeks later, my dog died, and I was angry and sad and tired and confused and anxious. You get the idea. My friend said something like, when I was at the gym, I was doing a 60K deadlift, and I interrupted him saying, dude, no one cares, and 60 kilograms isn't even much, okay? I don't know why I said that. I'm weak as hell and can't do that, and I was proud of him at the time for going to the gym. He was, and still is, one of my closest friends. That month was such a blur, and I had left school to go on holidays that month, so I really didn't remember much from that last week. Then, like 6 months later, I had a, holy shit, I can't believe I said that. He's one of my closest friends, and has never spoken bad about someone, especially me. But again, I was like a month away from seeing him again, so I forgot. Now it's gotten to the point where I don't know how to address it. Like, I have no doubt he remembers it, but what if he doesn't? Then it's worse. I was thinking of mentioning how I was going to the gym BC. I remembered him mentioning it, and how there's no way I could do a 60 kilograms to make him feel better. Which is absolutely true. I just feel really shit, and it's one of those things that I think about every night and cringe at how horrible I was. Story 27. Ghosting my toxic NEET friend was the best decision I've ever made. Recently, I decided to cut ties with a friend I've known for almost 10 years, and honestly, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. This guy is a terminally online NEET who quit his job to spend all day grinding Korean MMOs. He's completely content wasting his life away doing absolutely nothing of value, and he's even admitted as much. If you looked up loser in the dictionary, you'd find this dude. He's been diagnosed with agoraphobia and probably has Asperger's or something else from the usual suite of mental illnesses, along with a healthy dose of narcissism and delusions of grandeur. But even with all that, his worst trait is how he treats the people around him. He's toxic, bitter, and constantly tries to tear others down, especially if they've accomplished anything he hasn't. For a while, I tried to cope with his shitty behavior by not talking to him as much, but like a puppy, he always came back trying to get me to hang out with him. He's so socially inept that he couldn't take a hint, which just made me feel even worse for him. He's so desperate for anyone who will tolerate him that it's almost pathetic to watch. The truth is, none of his friends actually like him. We all just put up with his bullshit because we feel bad for him. He's the kind of person everyone tolerates out of obligation, not genuine friendship. For years, I tried to be supportive and hoped he'd change, but it became obvious he never will. He's stuck in his own miserable little bubble, dragging everyone else down with him. Looking back, my only regret is how much time I wasted associating with him. Every moment spent around him felt like pouring energy into a black hole. Nothing good ever came of it. The longer I stayed in his orbit, the more I realized how much better off I'd be without him. Cutting him off was a no-brainer, and I honestly feel relieved to finally be free of his toxic presence. Some people are just destined to go nowhere in life, and he's a prime example. He's made his choice, and now he can live with it. Story 28. I think I might be a terrible person. Today my dad blew up at me. He told me I was shitty and manipulative. He told me I was a bum. He told me that if my mom would let him, he'd throw me out onto the streets. I'm 18, and I just finished my first semester of college. My grades weren't good. Next semester, I'm transferring to a different school. He heavily implied, if I don't get all A's, that I won't be going back to college in the fall. Sometimes I think I am everything he tells me I am. I'm messy. Not dirty, but messy. Sure, there are tons of loose papers on my desk and clothes on my floor, but I never leave food or real trash sitting out. I could get amazing grades if I didn't procrastinate. I should be nicer to my parents. I should work harder. I don't want to be a bad person. I wish I wasn't a person at all. The world would be better off if I was just some asshole cat and nobody had to actually talk to me. God, look at me, I'm pathetic. Posting on Reddit about my fucking feelings instead of applying to internships and cleaning my room. I'd kill myself, but if I failed, my parents would never forgive me. I hate what I've turned into. Story 29. I genuinely cannot stand when conventionally attractive people become advocates for body image. This is extremely lame and petty of me, but I just kinda wanted to get it out. So some context. I'm a video editor and I work on a lot of motivational content for a few companies that I'm not naming OBV. I really love what I do, and most of the content I work on is really informative for how to begin making small, positive changes that can really help with mental health. However, lately we've had this specific set of content that's been in our backlog for a while, and it's finally ready for editing and cutting. It's about body image, and as someone who struggled with body image issues a lot in my teens and even now, I was pretty hyped to work on it. But the people they got for these are almost all just so fake. All conventionally gorgeous, with perfect makeup, none of them even slightly visibly overweight, or with anything that really could be seen as ugly. And yet most of what I'm editing is them aggressively pushing their self-help books while giving half-assed advice that basically boils down to, believe in yourself. Logically, I'm sure these people are being genuine when they give anecdotes about they struggled for years with body image. Logically, I am very aware there are conditions that exacerbate those kind of feelings. And yet so much of my brain just struggles to see why these should be the people who represent this specific issue. We talk about body image and how it affects bias, but seemingly the only people we are willing to give a platform on it are the ones who are least affected. It annoys me a lot. I have body image issues, and I've seen how they can get even harder for women. Have a chubby sister, and girls were horrible to her as a teen. Now, maybe it's just work stress, but seeing people who look basically perfect prod on about how appearance is all in your head and get paid for it makes my blood boil in a way I'm not used to. Story 30. I know the truth. Girl I know tried to cheat on her boyfriend with my boyfriend. I, 21F, have been with my boyfriend, 27M, for about a year now. His ex of 4 years, Tara, 27F, that he kept in contact with, texted him and asked to give him a letter. I allowed contact because Tara had a close relationship with his dead mom, who passed in 2020, but was still very wary. Texts were about once a month only, no hanging out. They had been broken up for 3 years, and Tara knew who I was. She had a boyfriend at this time too, so I didn't feel threatened. When I questioned their friendship after this text, I realized she still had feelings for him, but he was completely oblivious to it. When I called him out, he quickly realized he was enabling her and apologized to me. He then reassured me he had no romantic feelings for her whatsoever, which I believe is true, because before he met me, she had made multiple attempts to win him back, but he denied Tara each time. After this realization, he texts her to say that they should be more formal with each other. She starts becoming hostile with me and says, "If me talking to you pisses your girlfriend off, then I guess I'll just have to deal with it." We finally get the letter. It was 4 pages long. Tara is sobbing, saying she is now all alone. She wrote about her alcoholism, mental illness, and how it caused her to cheat. The man she cheated with is her current boyfriend of 3 years, poor guy, and how my boyfriend is the love of her life. She claims that messing up with him was the worst mistake of her life and wants him back. My boyfriend tells Tara that his priority is with me and not to contact him again. A few hours later, she texts my boyfriend and demands to hide this letter from me, but I was the first one to read it. She is now blocked. LOL. She continues to post about her current boyfriend, he seems in love with her, and nobody truly what's happening besides my boyfriend and I. Unbelievable. I know a secret that no one else does. Similar stories, anyone? TLDR. Boyfriend's ex tried winning back my boyfriend by writing a letter to him and asked him to hide it from me. And she has a boyfriend deadpan face. Similar stories? Story 31. I don't think my boyfriend likes me. I don't like my boyfriend. I don't think he likes me. Yes, I should break up with him. Yes, I'm working on getting into that headspace. And yes, I realize I probably never will be in that headspace. I need to do it. We have been together for 3.5 years. We have always had issues with agreeing. We cannot even agree to disagree most of the time. We used to argue a lot, and while that has calmed down, my other problems in this relationship pop up. He's so focused on himself all the time. He barely puts an effort into our relationship and makes me pick everything we do out since he pays for it. Mind you, we are both in our early 20s. He hasn't had a job in over a year and gets allowance from his wealthy parents' cold sweat smile. Yet when we go places together, he acts like he's having the worst time being outside because he doesn't like overcrowded places, blah blah blah. It feels like he blames everything bad that happens to him on me. For example, we have somewhere to be together the next day at 12 p.m., but we stayed out late together the day before. He ends up sleeping later than me, doesn't text me, and blames me for him sleeping in because I was hanging out with him late the day before. I'm so over it. At this point, I'm believing I'll genuinely be happier once I'm really past this part of my life with this guy. He weighs me down. He doesn't appreciate a thing I do for him or have done for him. He's ungrateful to me and life itself. He is so full of negativity and hate. He has even made me start questioning my life and happiness. In my eyes, I've explained it in every which way I could how I have been feeling, and he does not want to be any different. He won't change for the better. I mean, that has to mean he doesn't care whether or not we are together, right? So what am I holding on to? He is practically at a resort right now with his family and has complained about how he has to go on these trips, everything is taken care of, he can do whatever he wants. I grew up not so wealthy and sorry, but complaining that you have to go to a resort with your family sounds like the last problem I would ever have. Sounds like a problem I wish I could have. In the time he's been away, I've spoken already to so many what could be considered even acquaintances more than him. His choice, he won't reach out. Welp, he will have one less problem to come home to. Story 32. Commitment to image. When I was a child, I was always reminded of how pretty and smart I was. I relished in the joy of being favored. My older sister reminded me that it was because I was the youngest. But feeling on top of the world, I simply blamed her words on jealousy. As I continued to grow older, everyone would always tell me, keep being smart, keep being pretty. So that's what I felt I had to do, for it only seemed right, right? When I got my first ever 99% on a report card, I cried, feeling like a failure. When I got my first ever period, I was disgusted, feeling like I was growing too fast. When I got my first ever pimple, I bawled, feeling as though my pretty childlike features were fading away. When I got my first boyfriend, he would always remind me of how pretty I was, which I loved a lot. But I would always catch him talking to other girls, which made me wonder, am I really pretty? The first time I felt resentment towards myself, I told myself, I am smart. So just think of a smart, easy way to become prettier. So instead, I made really dumb choices. The first time I declined a meal, I felt happy. The first time I landed myself in the hospital because I chose to starve to feel pretty and smart, I honestly didn't care. The first time I was called ugly, I cried and cried and cried, wishing I could change my face. The first time I felt unappreciated, I tried to overexert myself to show I could be smart, pretty, and enough. The first time I got in trouble at school, my mother and father reminded me how dumb I was, which confused me because my purpose served to be smart and pretty. Smart and pretty smart and pretty and smart pretty and smart. The words carried with me my whole life, and only from there did I get constantly reminded I was everything but. I burned myself out, throwing my teenage years away, thinking, well, I am no longer smart or pretty, who cares? A young child who took everything as a joke suddenly realized only a select few words stuck with her: keep being smart, keep being pretty, turning her into a young woman obsessed with validation, and how she could conform into this person everyone wished she'd been. My mother never failed to remind me she didn't know what happened to me, nor did my father. I didn't know either, Mom and Dad, truly. I didn't realize that I carried a saying in my mind for so long, but I couldn't help but do so. Seeing as the only times I was recognized and appreciated was when I was doing just that. People who will listen. I don't feel smart or pretty anymore, but that's okay because I will learn to feel that way again without anyone's confirmation. I just want to feel seen as someone who tries and who loves, because that's all I truly am. This letter may seem scrambled in certain areas, but it's because I was trying to keep pace with my mind. My apologies. Story 33. I am 19, buy perfume and spray it in my home so I feel less lonely. I am 19, take care of myself, my hygiene, and my life in general. I look attractive from what I've been told, and my previous relationship lasted 8 months before she moved and we decided to split up, so for the past year of living in my apartment alone, I've been buying different perfumes and lightly spraying them around the house, in my closet, and especially on my pillow so I feel less alone. I have good cologne and wear that when I'm in public, so the scent of perfume isn't RLY noticeable though, but I feel fucking terrible and pathetic for making it a habit, but I DK how to stop. I don't want to get back into dating because I feel I'm not ready and or haven't mentally moved on yet, but I know this has to stop someday. I'll even spray the perfume on my pillow, get all comfy and cozy, and hold my other pillow pretending it's her or a girl I don't have, and I hate myself for it. TLDR, I am 19, buy perfume and spray it in my home so I feel less lonely. Story 34. I strongly dislike my sister as a person. I've never met a more vindictive, hypocritical, entitled, manipulative, selfish, lazy, unempathetic person in my entire life. She will lie about you while you are standing right next to her. She will borrow money, refuse to pay you back or communicate about paying you back, and then she'll say you're harassing her if you ask her about it more than once in a 6-month period. She will scream at you in public. She will stomp her feet and cry in public if she doesn't get her way. She's in her 20s, by the way. She never, ever admits when she's wrong. The most she'll give is a half-hearted, vague apology, followed by a request for you to never speak of the incident again, or she'll have to cut you off for her mental health's sake. She acts as though she's better than everyone else, but at the same time, she's the most insecure person I know. Our relationship has never been good, but I thought we'd gotten to a decent place, only for her to ruin our relationship in the span of 10 days with her lies and public meltdowns. It's absolutely miserable being around her. No matter what I do or how I do it, we always end up in a fight where she ignores me for months until she's lonely or needs something. She is one of those people who does and says really subtle, passive-aggressive, disrespectful things to you in private or sneakily in public, so that when you finally do slip up and show some emotion, she can throw her tantrum and play the victim. What sucks is that even though everyone knows she's like this, all of us are so afraid of being on her bad side that no one wants to go against her when push comes to shove, because she makes your life absolute hell when she's upset with you. I genuinely hope to never speak to or see my sister again. I've never disliked anyone more than I dislike her. Story 35. My girlfriend cheated on me with one of my closest friends. Me and my ex were together for almost a year. There was a period of time, however, where she was constantly caught texting one of my closer friends. I'd keep forgiving her because she'd always have an excuse, but it was getting out of hand and eventually became one of the biggest reasons we broke up. We started talking again recently, and she claimed to have gone through some seriously traumatic things that caused her to be apathetic, which I understand. She also noted that she kept messaging him because he was going through something like his mom having an illness, and he didn't know who else to talk to, and she didn't want to tell me because she was scared he'd get upset if she told me about it, so she just tried to hide it. Again, don't agree with that, considering she could have just said it was something serious they were talking about, but again, I agreed to forgive because she seemed sincere. We wanted to make things work out, so we decided to give each other distance, but with plans to date. However, over the course of this distance, she's been randomly blocking me, so I can't even message her at all. We agreed to keep messages open in case it was absolutely necessary to speak. Today I heard that she was dating that same dude. She would beg and plead to me that nothing was going on and would say she was so sorry for giving the wrong impressions. Considering she's dating him during this time where she specifically stated that she wanted us to wait for each other, I have no reason to believe those times where she was caught texting him randomly were also not her cheating behind my back. I knew it was wrong for her to do that, but never knew that it hit this extent. I'm just so fucking empty and don't know what to do. I want to hate her and I can't. I just don't physically understand how a human being was able to lie to me as much as she did, and not tell me the truth when I would beg for it, and I hate myself for trusting her. She even called me New Year's and Christmas to check on me. Like, how could she seem so intent on wanting to get back together yet be doing this to me? She had the choice to just say we shouldn't be together again, but purposely opted for us to wait for each other. I really just can't believe this. By the way, if you're wondering how I found out, a cousin of hers overheard her talking to her parents about dating him after she was caught in the church bathroom on Christmas, calling him for an extensive period of time. Story 36. I developed an interest in art at the worst possible time. I'm 18, Indian, male. Since I grew up in an Asian family with traditional values, my parents pushed me to go into some STEM field because that's, allegedly, where the money is at. I can understand their reasons behind their request, given that they're immigrants. Hell, I used to be a huge STEM nerd back in middle and most of high school, but recently, now that I'm a senior, I've been wanting to pick up some artistic skills, but it's too late for that. I tried drawing a simple character from a game, but I failed horrendously. Not to mention my parents would despise that. I already applied under bioengineering to my colleges, and I already got an acceptance from one of them. I don't know whether or not this is just another hyperfixation. I have ADHD, or some real interest. I do want to draw, or do voice acting, or even regular acting, but that's a massive gamble. You either hit it big and become a hot name, or you fade into nothing. If anyone could offer some words of wisdom concerning my predicament, it would be well appreciated. Story 37. Got a belly button piercing and my parents don't know, person shrugging. Need to get this off my mind because I haven't told many people about my belly button piercing yet. Owen. I'm F16. And for like 1 and a bit years I've been asking for a belly button piercing, and always my mom had said no, and to wait until I was 18 to get one. Well, I found out I could get one at 16 without parental approval, so that's what I did on the 3rd of January. Fouling? I didn't really do research on the navel piercing afterwards, so I had no clue. I can't be in bodies of water for long, have to clean it daily, and now I know that my body can reject it. That's like my biggest fear, loudly crying. So I'm going on holiday in April or March. Ooh. And it will not heal by then, and I'm going Thailand loudly crying, so I swim a lot. And obviously I'll be wearing crop tops for the weather if it's hot and they're gonna see it. I don't know if it's better now to tell them or wait until they just see it. I mean, it's just a piercing. My dad doesn't seem too bothered. Last time I asked him, he just said, ask your mom, but my mom always said no, wait until 18. I guess the worst she can do is be disappointed and like take my money off me, but that'll be hard because they always complain about how I don't go outside and always ask them to buy me things, so yay. Like, I feel bad because she said no and I'll probably have some kind of punishment, but at the same time, I want to change a lot about my appearance. RN, like get face piercings and dye my hair, all to which she has said no to. That's about it. It's not a big deal. Just I don't know how my parents will react and need to share it. Story 38. I don't want this pregnancy, and I don't want to live in this world anymore. My life was never, ever very well off. Even before becoming an adult, I always felt very, very stupid when it came to the simplest things, like conversations with people just seem so awkward, and I just can't comprehend what it is. But I don't relate to most people I know. I don't have any friends. I have 2 actually, but one is 5 hours away and has her own kid and life to worry about, and my other friend is busy trying to better herself, and she's more of an extroverted person with a hot head, and I can't be around her much. Other than that, I rarely have support. I made very, very, very stupid choices from ages 14 to now that ultimately lead to me having my first kid in 2023. The only good thing that has happened to me, And I still feel guilt because me, not her father, can land a job. We moved with my grandmother because we thought we'd have better opportunities over here, and that's what she made it seem like. She begged me to move here so I could apply for affordable housing. But the problem is, a job would be needed for that because they need proof of income. My boyfriend quit his job before we left because the commute was 50 minutes away from our new location. Then Hurricane Milton hit, our shitty $2,000 car got flooded. I started selling adult content because I was so desperate. Now there's probably so much digital footprints of me out there, and I don't know if maybe that's the issue with why these places aren't budging even when I call to check on an application. I feel like a failure at life. I don't want to live this way. I have $80 in my account right now to survive me till I decay and all of it has to go to my kid for things she needs. We've applied to every job within a 10-mile radius since we no longer have a fucking car, so no transportation avail. I had my life a little bit together 2024 from the months of August to November when I tested positive. After that, it went downhill. I stopped going to the gym, which definitely made things depressing as fuck. My insecurities with my body is insanely a part of the reason I am so low self-esteem, which is insane considering, like I said, I was selling my body at one point, if you want to call it that. I try hard to spend time with my daughter when I can, but I am so tired. Within 2 to 3 weeks after the pregnancy finally started setting in, I started panicking. I kept telling myself, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. I'm already responsible for one child, and that's already somewhat stressful since her age is 15 months, and she needs my support and attention, and for me to teach her things. I have heart issues, and once I found out I was pregnant, I stopped taking them. I was also on Klonopin for debilitating social and public anxiety. I did research to see if Klonopin was okay if taken in moderation, and followed my heart, taking 1 milligram every few weeks. But then I started taking it more daily, and I got scared that I'd end up hurting my kid. I started thinking, hey, maybe miscarriage wouldn't be so bad, since I really don't want to drag 2 kids down with me, and I don't even have my own life together. I feel so guilty for saying this. It's just like I don't seem to care about this pregnancy. I found out it's most likely a boy. I did a gender sneak peek test. I always wanted 1 girl and 1 boy, but now that doesn't even matter because I can't support him. Abortion in Florida is illegal after 6 weeks, I think, so that's a no-go. And even if I did get one, I would still feel so guilty. My hormones and emotions just make me feel so crazy. I feel sick in the head when I think about how my life would be easier if I just had a miscarriage. I know people yearn for getting pregnant, and I wish that would happen for them, and they'd be blessed with that, but that doesn't change the fact that I don't want this kid. Please don't judge me, BC. It took me so much courage to post this. I'm only 20 years old, and I am already pregnant with my 2nd child. I have no idea how to get out of my situation. Please don't judge me or think of me as a bad person. I feel so lost and so alone because I can't tell anyone these sick thoughts. Story 39. I miss my toxic workplace. My husband would probably go crazy if he ever heard me utter the words, I miss my old workplace. I had friends there, but my boss was awful. There was a lot of work to do, which I loved. I like being kept busy. And a stale job with not much happening leaves me tired and unmotivated. Now it's only the new year, so plenty of people still on holiday, and I'm sure things will ramp up as the months move along. But I am bored with little support in my new role. I'm scrambling to find things to do, but also wary not to step on anyone's toes trying to fix things too fast. I feel fucking guilty and insecure too, to be on a higher salary than my previous role and doing less. I know this seems ungrateful, but I'm more just wondering, am I going to lose this dream job because I don't have a lot of work? I feel insecure and desperate to prove myself as worthy of it. I miss my old workplace. I miss my colleagues. But I don't miss my ex-boss. It was awful. But at least I was busy and occupied. Story 40. Finally figured it out. Can't tell people I know. It's taken me a little while to figure it out. But now that I have no one to share it with. So thank you for listening and letting me share it with you. My mother, may she rest in so much peace, passed away in May. I was alone with her as she took her last breaths, and the night leading up to it. She had been sick for 3 years with lung cancer, and 2 years with lung cancer and acute myeloid leukemia. The last 2 years were really rough. On her, on me, on everyone who loved her. There were times I resented her, she was mean at times, especially to me, but there was always something I couldn't figure out, and it was really unsettling to me. It was apparent that I hated my mother, or that I did flame her for wanting to seek treatment. Of course I was supportive of whatever she wanted to do, but now I realize I do understand where she got her will or desire to keep living. It was a strong will she had. She was a fighter until the very end. I remember the day before she had her massive stroke, she told me that she lost her desire to live anymore. Solely. She was tiny, had a few small strokes, was pale. I told her that after everything she's been through, I can't say I blame her, but in all honesty, I don't know how she had the desire beforehand. I was so happy that I still made her smile in that car ride. It was her last smile ever, and it was her proud mama smile. And I'm so glad I got to give it to her. That night was her last conscious night on this earthly plane, and I'm so glad I got to spend it with her, making her dinner and taking care of her the best I could. We had a very normal night. She did her best to eat some dinner. We finally decided to watch a TV show, and I gave her some of her favorite ice cream. I woke up to find her having a massive stroke the next morning. I don't think I'll ever get over it. Anyway, I rambled, but I just don't know where she got her will or desire to live from. I never understood. I guess I just don't find life all that exciting, or have much that's worth living for. I can't really just go around telling people that. So thank you, folded hands. I miss you, Mama, Red Heart, your eldest daughter. Story 41. I have started to develop feelings for my Gref's best friend, and I feel so guilty. A few weeks ago, my Gref's best friend came to visit us for a while. I've met her before a few times, and always thought she was pretty and charming. However, something changed this time, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about her since. I feel unbelievably guilty about it. The friend reminds me a lot of my GF. She's cultured, intellectual, and has a great sense of humor. I just loved spending time with her. I perked up every time she entered the room and got butterflies. It's little things like the way she dresses, her calm and relaxed demeanor, the way she laughs, and the sound of her voice. I think of her to certain love songs, and it's inspired me to take up art again. But I feel horrible, as I should only have these feelings for my GF, not her friend. Yes, I feel I have more in common with the friend than my GF. Me and the friend share a similar education, interests, values, come from the same kind of family, and have the same life goals. On top of that, she doesn't seem to have the traits I'm not too fond of in my GF. The friend is empathetic, generous, kind, and even maternal. My GF rarely shows these traits, and it is an underlying worry. I sometimes feel that my GF has helped make me a more selfish, unethical person, and I fear she might not be the best person to start a family with. I don't have these reservations with the friend. I just want to spend as much time as I can with the friend, and I think this was best demonstrated when we were drinking one night. The friend left for a brief moment, and my GF got affectionate with me. The whole time I sat there just thinking about the friend and hoping she would come back soon. I've had to say my grief's name in my head over and over again, as I'm worried about saying the friend's name instead. I'm also hesitant to get intimate with my GF, as I'm worried I'll start thinking about the friend during the act. Regardless of whether my GF would find this out, it doesn't matter, as it's just devastating and sad. I'm not looking to leave my GF for the friend. It would almost be impossible for that to end well for all of us. I love my GF. Even with these feelings, she's wonderful. She's done a lot for me, as I have for her. Our relationship is great, and I know she adores me. I'm also confident I would never cheat. However, I just can't stop thinking about her friend, wondering what if I had met her first. I've cried about it, something that's quite rare for me. I keep wondering if I would be happier if I was with the friend. The only way I could see myself getting together with the friend would require my GF to pass away, something I would never want. This is all assuming that the friend even likes me, which is hard to tell. There has always been a weird atmosphere between me and her, especially when she didn't know I was dating my GF. She compliments and teases me a lot, and can be quite huggy. She is also a lot more keen to talk to me, a lot more than most people, according to my GF. When the friend has spoken about what she wanted in a partner, I can't help but notice I tick a lot of the boxes. However, it is quite possible she's just being nice, and views me as nothing more than her best friend's partner. That I'm projecting for the sake of my ego. I must admit, as selfish as it is, I would love to know she feels the same way, that my feelings are reciprocated, but I know the pain it would cause. All in all, I'm hoping that the problem fades. Out of sight, out of mind. However, there is a good chance we will all live near each other in the future. If so, I don't think the feelings will fade. I have no right, but the thought of the friend dating someone else makes me insanely jealous. I really like the friend and love my GF. I have no clue how best to deal with this without it blowing up in everyone's faces. I mainly wrote this to vent, but if anyone has any advice about dealing with the situation and guilt, then I would appreciate the comment.